Hello there. Welcome back to yet another installment of Andrew's Declassified Debates okay. So, due to the fact that the show I'm parroting has been canceled for several years now, our funding has been cut significantly. We can't afford an editor this year, so our visuals will be sporadic and unrelated at best. But don't worry, that doesn't mean we aren't going to give this show a whopping 32% or so. For this edition of the guide, I'll be teaching you all I know about debating at a tournament. Trust me, it's not much, but you'll usually be breathing at the end of a round, and honestly, all I advertise here is survival anyway. Now, both sides of the debate are the same, so don't worry if you're pro or con. You do all the same hoopla. All debates start with a coin toss. This is where my first life hack comes in. Bring a double-headed coin. Nobody brings change to these things, and nobody's going to call you out on a shiesty coin either. We can't afford American currency anymore, but they don't care if you use Canadian, so just bring a fake coin. After you've chosen a side and sat down at your respective end of a classroom in those unbearably undersized desks, you're ready to begin. Let's assume you followed my advice and won the coin toss. Get up there and do the first speech. Always make your partner speak second. It's much harder to do, and you'll look comparably better. Once you're at the closest thing you can find to a podium, respectfully confirm with the judge that they are ready. Ask the other team, and then your partner. That order is super important, and you want to be sucking up as much as possible at this point. You get 4 minutes to read your likely plagiarized piece of work. Sound like a lot of time? It is. Don't rush yourself. You're in PF because you failed at policy, and we don't spread here. After your 4 minutes are up, the opposing team will give their side of the argument. Following that speech, there's what's called a crossfire. But don't worry, you don't actually need any Kevlar. It's just a brief 2 minutes of Q&A. Since public forum debaters don't have much to show for themselves, presentation is everything. Be respectful in the crossfire and ask your opponent questions about flaws you noted in their case while they were speaking. You don't want to seem like you're attacking them personally, so always be looking directly at the judge when speaking, almost as if you're asking the judge the questions. After crossfire is over and your verbal rifles have been safely replaced in their holsters, your partner will be up to speak. For the last 10 minutes, they should have been flowing or taking notes on both speeches given to try to rebuttal opposing arguments while pushing those you agree with. They have 4 minutes to speak with, and again will be followed by the opposing team's rebuttal and another 2 minutes of crossfire. Some suggestions I'd give for both this speech and the one following it are to assume that your judge is a brain-dead tomato that hasn't really been following whatever is going on. Start the speech by explicitly explaining that you will first refute your opponent and then promote your own case, or vice versa. For the past 10 minutes, you should have been flowing and coming up with what you're going to say. This time, your speech is unfortunately not scripted. Feel free to do what I did the first time I was put into this situation and stand up awkwardly and stand for a few seconds. Then, tell the judge you have nothing to say and sit back down. This is a killer strategy to cut the debate short a little, but I promise you won't win with it. If you aren't a coward, such as myself, you'll elect to speak for the next 2 minutes. The speech is called the summary speech. It explains to your judge basically what's happened over the last 20 minutes in light of all the arguments. You aren't supposed to present new arguments here, but you can present new evidence. For the record, I've never seen anyone do this, and I sure as heck have never done it myself.
Well, I think that's about all the work I plan to put into this assignment, so I hope you got a lot out of it. But come on, Greenstein, it could have been a lot worse. I could be Goodspeed.
I sure fooled you, didn't I? After your opponent gives their summary, you're on to my two favorite parts of the debate. The first is the grand crossfire. Wow. Face your desk towards your opponents and do what you've done in all the other crossfires. But now all four debaters are involved. You may make eye contact with the opposing team this time. Following the grand crossfire is the epitome of alliteration in all of public forum, the final focus. Savor those two F's starting two consecutive words and how cool it sounds. Your partner will be given 2 minutes to give the judge a last impression. It's kind of like a summary, but it really just tells the judge the main points you've been fighting for throughout the debate, and a reasoning as to why you deserve to beat the opposing team. It's nice to be last in this one, actually, because it means your argument is the last one the judge will hear, and it will be freshest in their mind when they make their informed decision. Thank them for the debate and remind them to vote pro or con, depending on which side you are representing.
Well, I think that's about all the work I plan to put into this assignment, so I hope you got a lot out of it. But come on, Greenstein, it could have been a lot worse. I could be Goodspeed.
This was directed, filmed, edited, and all other credited by Andrew Ainbinder. Thanks for tuning in.